yeah, as we go down now to the last two, if you've seen my early 2012 reviews, you probably know what's coming. So number two, Life of Pi. What a talking about gorgeous films, Life of Pi. Oh, those visual effects, that cinematography, that score. Oh, gorgeous, absolutely breathtaking work. Even the lead actor in that film, I know it wasn't a huge film for Academy Awards for acting, because, well, being nominated the Tiger. Seriously, what a brilliant, brilliant performance by that young man. And I know he popped up in the $1 Million Arm movie, which I never saw, but yeah, I hope he gets good work after this. Anyways, Academy Award winner twice now for this film. Ang Lee he was a great director choice for this film. And talk about a diverse director. We're talking about the guy who made the Hulk, the first Hulk movie. The oh gee, I always confuse the title, even though I love the film. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger. I can never remember the name of that film. I always mix it up somehow. Yeah, that cuts in. And then the guy who did Brokeback Mountain, for crying out loud. And I hear his next project's going to be about it's supposed to be an Iraq War comedy, sort of, something like that. Something like that, yeah. So I'm like, what else? What can this guy not do? I mean, he's gone, yeah, like comedy, sci-fi, sort of sci-fi, with Life of Pi, more like fantasy. Serious drama, action film, comic book film. The only thing I think we're missing is, where's his, where's his horror movie? But that could work. Or maybe he has done one. I'm just not thinking about it right now. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I mean, he even did. When you think back, he did Sense and Sensibility with Emma Thompson. He did a romantic movie. Hey, what can this guy not do? And I did say, if you look at my 2012, or it would be 2013, Oscar reactions, when Ang Lee won for Best Director, I looked very upset. That was just because I got the prediction wrong. Don't confuse those two. Ang Lee was a brilliant director. He brilliantly directed Life of Pi, and he definitely, aside from Steven Spielberg, aside from Catherine Bigelow, aside from Ben Affleck, he would have, in my perfect world, he would have been on the nominees list. He wouldn't have moved further down. He wouldn't have won, but he was definitely going to be nominated. So yeah, and then just the tiger was absolutely fascinating, and the visual effects on the tiger are breathtaking. And then Richard Parker's name, Tiger, and the whale and all the visual effects when he's out at sea, when Pi's out at sea, is so gorgeous to look at. It's seriously one of those films where it kind of like Gravity a little bit, where the dialogue is not all that important, where the dialogue is kind of, shoved aside in favor of the screen presence, of the visual effects, in showing how great your visual effects can be. So, in that regard, yeah, my God, what a gorgeous film. You could almost mute it in some places, except you wouldn't want to because the music score is just phenomenal. So when the whale comes up just on mute, it's still like a breathtaking scene. It reminds you of Disney's Fantasia and all these breathtaking cartoon styles like that of Disney, where it's just so gorgeous to look at, and such a visual treat. And then on top of it, the screenplay is also really great. The whole narration and the whole thing from what's the actor's name? Amir Khan, something like that. I can't remember what the actor's name is. His last name was Khan, I think, or something like that. Anyways, the whole thing with the Canadian writer and all that stuff was really great too. And yeah, even the last scene of Pi telling the Chinese, or was it Japanese, I can't remember, I think it was the Chinese authorities, the whole story. And the way that, the metaphors of who is who, I was like, even in the theater, I was like, oh my God, this guy is brilliant. The character is smart. The writing is smart. The direction is smart. The visual effects the people doing it are way advanced, way more advanced than half the people who work in visual effects. The Michael Bay people who want to trash the screen with giant robot pieces flying all over the place to the point where it looks like somebody's taken a crap. Like, it seriously reminds me of crap on the screen. And it's just, half the visual effects film these days really do it wrong. But Life of Pi, Gravity, even like Skyfall, other films like that, they show you that visual effects can be done in a way that reminds us of the heydays of Jurassic Park, of, I'm trying to think, like, even the visual effects, some of them in, like, Forrest Gump, and I'm just thinking of, like, the best visual effects winners, like Apollo 13, stuff like that, where you're just like, wow, what majesty, dinosaurs. Somebody, I'm just naming the movies now, dinosaurs, space shuttle, space travel in Apollo 13, people being intercut with historical figures, like Forrest Gump. Like, I wasn't actually around when Forrest Gump came out, but I can only imagine how wowed those people were when they first saw Tom Hanks standing beside JFK, mooning, yeah, it's silly, mooning LBJ. I mean, shaking hands with Nixon, unbelievable. Being with, in a deleted scene, apologizing to Martin Luther King Jr. Nobody imagined they could ever do that. Nobody. And here they did it, and it was 20 years ago. I mean, these were times when visual effects could be used in a brilliant way to show things that you could never do Jurassic Park in the 70s. And you could do it with stop motion, but stop motion had been around for decades. Back to, like, rear projection and stuff from the King Kong days, 40 years ago, from the 70s. And now, we're getting close to the centennial of King Kong, for crying out loud. I mean, it's still, it's going to be on its, what now? 85th anniversary in a few years. We just had the 80th anniversary of last year. I mean, my God. Just to think that stop motion was like our rule and our breathtaking visual effects for so long, and then CGI with mainly like the creations we think back to Terminator 2 and stuff like that, Jurassic Park. Those were the game changers. Those were the game changers of CGI. Before, seriously, it's Michael Bay. Armageddon, before like Armageddon, Deep Impact, when they started to look a little hokey. Even like, what was the name? I didn't see it, I've just seen clips of it online, but House on Haunted Hill, the 90s, 1999 version. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, that looks terrible. Like those early 2000s, when CGI just boomed and everybody used it wrongly. There's still people today, it's at a finer level today, but it's still being used wrongly today. But there are films like Gravity, Life of Pi, that use it well. And Life of Pi and Gravity both use it so well that they remind you CGI is not terrible. CGI, because like when we got to like Indiana Jones 4, and a lot of it was CGI, and we got to stuff like that, and it was a lot, half the films coming out of the 2000s had at least one or two CGI effects in their film, like on average every 5 minutes. Like all the Pirates of the Caribbean films, all the big, the Star Wars prequels, everybody was using CGI. And half of them were doing it wrong. So, and by that time actually, like more than half of them, 75% of them were doing it wrong. Then we got to the second golden age now, I think, of CGI, which is Life of Pi and Gravity and stuff like that, where they use them well. Where CGI effects can change the world and change our view on what can be presented on screen. So yeah, I think I definitely think, and motion capture with like Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and all that shows there's avenues we can go down now. where visual effects can take us to new places again. Nobody would imagine that a guy with giant rubber balls all over his suit would just on set, would one day turn into, like things that people in college watch. Things that people in college watch for great visual effects. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable because people animal studies classes can watch that in colleges and in schools, high schools even, might have that class maybe. And rather than showing stock footage of gorillas and stuff, they might be able to show Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, saying, look, people can do this too. And through visual effects and motion capture, we can do that now. I mean, just think of it. This is the second golden age, where motion capture, Andy Serkis is the man for motion capture, by the way. That's it. This is our new avenue to go down. Kind of like with Jurassic Park back in the day, Life of Pi, Gravity, great films like this. Even Dawn of the Planet of the Apes this year. Just, wow, the visual effects and motion capture. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable performances there. Not just from Andy Serkis this time, but from Toby Kebbell. From all those people. Judy Greer, I think, was one of them too, who did it. Masterful work. Even though a lot of it does go to the credit, goes to the visual artists, to the people behind the scenes, who never stepped on set or in front of the camera. Still then, this is our second golden age of visual effects, and Life of Pi is one of the first examples, alongside Gravity now, that we can turn to and say, thank you, Ang Lee. Thank you for reminding us that visual effects can be special again. And in a way, it also drives, not really drives the story, but the story drives us to these effects. And that's really what makes Life of Pi brilliant. Is rather than having visual effects for the sake of visual effects, we have a story that starts out with minimal effects. Very few. Like we get like a tiger and a few other animal shots that are CG before we get to the big scene in Life of Pi where the boat sinks. Like Titanic a little bit. But few things. And then the story gets us there. We don't just start demanding this stuff like Michael Bay films. I'm taking on Michael Bay too much. Like the guy who... we're just going to turn to people who work with Michael Bay. The guy who did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the new one. They didn't just throw in those effects, of course, the basics of the story, you have to introduce the turtles at some point, but it was almost, just from the ads I was getting, I was like to the point where I was like, okay, now they're just throwing in the visual effects just so they can throw in the visual effects. That's like what the age we're in, we had, especially back in the mid to early 2000s. But no, now we're turning around, realizing again that visual effects do not enhance the story. The story, not enhance, but the visual effects do not advance the story. The story advances and draws in and announces, these are when your visual effects come in. So Life of Pi is the one that I think we have to turn to. And I know I'm mentioning the two hand in hand, but Gravity is another example where that can happen, but to a lesser degree. I feel like the overall story of Life of Pi was stronger. And of course it was a book first. Gravity was an original screenplay. But yeah, just hats off to Ang Lee and company. Life of Pi was not just a moving experience in just a story, but a visual experience that is unlike anything I've seen, probably since Jurassic Park. And I still hold up to this day. The best visual effects we've gotten in film probably goes back to Jurassic Park, because those creatures, oh man, they might look a little cockney today, but man, they work. They still work. So, and Life of Pi, Gravity, and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, these are like the second golden age. This is where we're starting to get good stuff again. So thank you. Thank you, Ang Lee and other people, for helping us realize that. Alright, and we're nearly there. This is it. Last one. #1 film. And I listed it a long time ago. I listed it. You can watch half my videos from 2012, and I say it. Argo is the best picture of the year. Argo is my #1 film of the year. I say it dozens of times. I say it about as much as I did last year with my #1 film, which we'll get to in a different video, of course. I'm not doing this. Would be a 3.5-hour video if I did 2012 and 2013. So we're gonna, after I'm done here, we're gonna cut it off, and I'll say next time 2013. So Argo, man, what an achievement! What an achievement for Ben Affleck and company. What an achievement! Breathtaking, just breathtaking film overall. Just a gorgeous film. And no, it doesn't rely on visual effects. This one relies on the story. This one relies on the direction. This one relies on the acting. And all three of those qualities are just top of their game work. It's just brilliant. What can I say? Even Ben Affleck's performance in the film, and he's been a decent actor. I mean, even alongside Geely and all that crap he did. If you go back to Good Will Hunting, what a magnificent actor this is. You go back to like even in Pearl Harbor, he had moments where you were like, okay, yeah, he's a decent actor. We know this. Even freaking Daredevil, he had some moments where we're like, the guy is still a movie star no matter what happens to him. But man, he has really turned it around since he started directing. And sometimes we see this. Like Mel Gibson, he never gave a better performance until he got to Braveheart. Yeah, even though, yeah, we had the years of Living Dangerously and Lethal Weapon and stuff where he gave nice performances, really nice performances. Like, people might underrate the performance that he did in Lethal Weapon. Because that is a hard performance. The suicidal cop. I know it just sounds like a crazy, you know, like crazy, you know, like anybody can do it. No, when he goes to that scene where he wants to bite the bullet, where he has the gun in his mouth, and he's watching Looney Tunes or whatever on the TV, that is a dark scene, and that is a scene that top-class actors only can pull off. And I know Mel Gibson with the whole media thing that he's happened, that now everybody says what a bastard he is. And it's true. It's true. In his personal life, he is a bastard for what he has done. He is. But we can't forget what he does on screen when the cameras are on him can be breathtaking. They can be breathtaking. Kevin Costner. What was his first acting nomination? And his only one, by the way? Dances with Wolves. Guess who was director of that film? Kevin Costner. So we see this. You know, a lot of times, once the director gets behind the camera, they realize, you know, how to, you know, and once they know how to direct people, they can better direct themselves. That's how it works. That's how it works sometimes. You know, like Don John. We saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which is a film I finally caught up on a few months ago. I saw it on Netflix. You know, even his performance then in that it's a comedy role. Even then, I'm like, you know, the film, it's a decent film. Not really a great film, a decent film. But his performance in it is actually a really good performance. And he gave good performance, like, even his performance in The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, all that. Good performances, really good performances. Performance in Lincoln, really nice performance. Even though it's a smaller performance, man, he does a good job. You know, so yeah, I mean, even Looper. Looper was another good performance. Even though I didn't really love the film, I had issues with it. His performance was actually really, really good. And I think now that he's directed, I think he's only going to get better from here. And, you know, we've heard, like, Channing Tatum wants to direct, Chris Evans wants to direct, all these people. Now with Ben Affleck, I think he's another person that's starting that fuel. Because once, it was actually when you go back to Robert Redford. When he turned over and directed on Ordinary People, gave him the Oscar. Even though he gave great performances. All the President's Men. Oh, geez, I'm forgetting. The one he was nominated for was The Sting. Butch Cassidy. All sorts of great work that he did. Once he directed, that's when they gave him the Oscar. And then, since then, he has done good work. All Is Lost was a film. I finally caught up on it. I had to rent it from Redbox. But, I saw it a few months ago, and it's a fairly decent film, and I probably have to just watch it again because I wasn't really in the right mindset when I watched the film. But even then, when he delivers in that movie, he could have been nominated for Best Actor, and a lot of people were putting him up on the as one of the 5 nominees. Even I did it, and I hadn't even seen the film. But at the last second, I was thinking, you know what? The Academy might be thinking Redford, so I put him down as a possible nominee on my predictions list, and I put him down, and he didn't get nominated. And the whole year up to that point in the Oscar race, I was not putting him in because I said, well, the film came out mid-October, box office was poor, it didn't carry through. He got nominated at Globes. He didn't get nominated at SAG. He didn't get nominated at he did get nominated at Critics' Choice, I think. But I was thinking, he didn't get nominated at BAFTA. I was like, his steam ran out too early. But the last second, I thought maybe they'll nominate him. Because, again, once you get away from the camera, you can do a better job this time. So I think Ben Affleck, especially The Town, that was his turnaround performance for me. I was like, okay, now Ben Affleck's back. Now he's doing good work. And his performance in Argo is really good. It was nominated at BAFTA for a reason for Best Actor. And upcoming, we have Gone Girl coming out in just under a week now. And I am pumped for this film. Like, Social Network should have won Best Picture. I say that a few times. I'll have to go into more detail on that later. Like a separate video about what's wrong with the Academy. I'll have to do that video a long time from now. But David Fincher, and he's got Ben Affleck. And some people are saying I haven't predicted to be nominated at Globes, but I know he's not. It's going to be a tough year for him to get nominated at the Oscars. I can tell you that right now. I'll have to do another Oscars at a glance because I'm starting to get into the Oscar race again. The Gold Derby people are revving their engines, so I'm starting to think that way too. We're getting down to that. It's going to be October here in a few days, and that's when the early critics groups, they start to ring in. That's when your big Academy of films from major studios start to get their press release screenings and stuff. Like Inherent Vice is going to start its premiere a week from now at New York Film Festival. And so, yeah, we're getting close to Oscar season again. So this is kind of the reason why I'm doing the top 10 lists now, because I'm going to give my top 10 list so far of 2014 to catch up on all the probably billion reviews I have to do. Now I can just do a top 10 video and say, okay, I liked it, and this is what I liked about it and stuff. And so, yeah. But anyways, 2012, back to Argo, now that we've gone off on a rabbit trail, sorry. And I listed it 100 times. I said, John Goodman, just as good as Alan Arkin. But who gets nominated? Alan Arkin. Well, okay. And I have gone back since then, and it's not like I was saying Alan Arkin wasn't good in the movie, but especially now, like after a third, fourth, fifth viewing, I've realized he is really good in the movie. I mean, still John Goodman was great in the film, but Alan Arkin, a few lines since then, just rewatching it, his delivery, I realize now it's just, yeah, he probably earned that spot on the 5 nominees list. He earned it. I mean, what can I say? And I mean, just the suspense in the film, going back to Zero Dark 30, the suspense in the film. I bought everything until we got to the cars, the police cars chasing after the plane toward the end of the film. I was like, really? Yeah, that was the only spot in the film where I didn't buy into it. I mean, the acting is so good. People step over their dialogue and have to re-say stuff like real life. Capturing the mood of the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, spot on. Even the cinematography, the film editing, of course, deservedly won at the Oscars and the Ace Eddie Awards. There's so much. The technical achievements really shine through, especially thanks to Affleck's direction, especially thanks to all the people. Even the screenplay, of course, which won. Yeah, I might say Tony Kushner's script for Lincoln was better, but that doesn't discount Argo at all. It's still a great script, and the dialogue is so, like, Argo F yourself is still one of my favorite lines from that year. But my God, all the terrific work on this film pays off. Brilliant performances, brilliant craftsmanship, and it's just entertainment. It's just pure entertainment. It just holds you. It holds you for that 2 hours. It does. and it's cut right to the T right there, just like right at 2 hours, and it's a gorgeous film in that regard of editing, just in editing. I mean, the way the editor's name is escaping me right now, but the guy, I mean, it's just like perfect place of when to end this shot, when to go into this shot, when to go into this shot, you know. Wow, just unbelievable work, and yeah, I've done reviews for all these films, so I know I'm probably repeating myself from then, and I don't have much to say now. But basically, just go back and rewatch my Argo review, and you'll see. Yeah, back then I had much fresher, memories of it, because I haven't rewatched it now for a little while. But yeah, it's wow, and it was, I think, one of the first time, if not the first time, it was one of the few times where I say, okay, this film was clearly the best film of this year, and then everybody else agrees with me. The Globes, the SAGs, the BAFTAs, the Academy, they agree with me. Now I'm not gonna be careful here. I'm gonna end up biting my tongue. I know I am, but I think there is a possibility where that might happen again this year, 2014. I'm not gonna tell you what the film is yet. But once we get to that 2014 top 10 list, hopefully the film will have built up a little bit more steam. It's already got steam. It's spoiler. If you haven't seen my 2013 reviews, but Spectacular Now, when I saw the film, I said, if they get some steam on this, this could be an Academy Awards contender. And they didn't do anything with it. But this film, they're already giving it steam. And it's already, people have been listing it as a likely winner for Best Picture. So if it happens again, I'm going to be really excited again. So yeah, that's what's... yeah, like I said, this video is probably going to be more than an hour, and I'm gonna try to cut out as much stuff as I can to make it run as smoothly as possible. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, since it's phase 2 now, this is a different setting, different look. I'll try to think of some different closing line or something, but why not just do this again? That it worked last time. So yep, keep watching the videos, subscribe, comment, do whatever you have to do. I'd love to hear feedback from you guys. Enjoy doing this. Enjoy sitting here for, it's probably with all the stops and stuff, probably been 2 hours. Enjoy doing this to share my opinions, hopefully to spread some wisdom, view some history, especially Academy history, that's what I'm good at, and definitely to judge on you fanboys, because, you know, I'm a big fanboy myself. What can I say? I put Dark Knight Rises ahead of the Avengers. What do you call that? I call that being a fanboy, but also it's my opinion, so yeah, that's about all I have to say on that, and 2013 top 10 list, and I'll have our honorable mention below that as well. I'll have that hopefully cooking here pretty soon. Okay, I've been sitting here for 2 hours, so I think I'm gonna do that another day. And best films of 2014, gonna do that after that as well. So and that'll give you some opinions of mine. I've done a couple of reviews of films this year, but only one of them. And you'll probably, if you look back at my 2014 film reviews, you'll know which one is more likely to end up on my top 10 list so far this year. So anyways, that's that. 2012. I'll, for the heck of it, let's run through them one more time, just in case your memory goes soggy. Honorable mention was Django Unchained. Number 10 was 21 Jump Street. Number 9, The Avengers. Number 8 was Bernie. 7, Silver Linings Playbook. 6, Zero Dark 30. Number 5, Dark Knight Rises, even though you fanboys hate it. Number 4, Lincoln. Number 3, Skyfall. 2, Life of Pi. Number 1, Best Picture winner, Argo. So with that, have a good one, guys.